This is video diary number 4, Privacy and Media Liability. Located on this screen is everything that will be covered in this video. Libel is a published false statement that is damaging to a person's reputation. There are 6 elements to determine whether libel has occurred. 1. Defamation. 2. Falsity. 3. Communication. 4. Identification. 5. Fault. And 6. Harm. Libel per se are statements that relate to a person's business or profession to the person's detriment, falsely claim that the person committed a crime of moral turpitude, imputes unchastity on the person, or claims that the person suffers from a loathsome disease. That's also known as direct libel. Libel per quad, on the other hand, is actionable only when the plaintiff introduces additional facts to show defamation or claims special damages, and this is known as indirect libel. The case of Sullivan versus New York Times was a case that dealt with a full-page ad in the New York Times which said that the arrest of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. for perjury was a part of a campaign to mess up his efforts to integrate public facilities and encourage the Black community to vote. The city commissioner, L.B. Sullivan, filed a libel action against the newspaper and 4 Black ministers who were listed as endorsers of the ad. He said that the allegations defamed him personally. Under Alabama law, he did not have to prove that had been harmed, and the ad did have some factual areas. Sullivan won a $500,000 judgment. Eventually, the court upheld the First Amendment that protects all statements, even false ones, about the conduct of public officials. This can be reversed when the statements are made with actual malice. Therefore, Sullivan's case was taken down. Actual malice is a concept required to establish libel against public officials or public figures. You have to be able to prove actual malice, but how would you? One way is to know when the defendant publishes a statement about the plaintiff he or she knows is false, or if it's known if the defendant publishes a statement about the plaintiff with reckless disregard for whether it is true or false. But what is classified as a public figure? A public figure in the law of defamation is a person of great public interest or familiarity, like a government official, politician, celebrity, business leader, movie star, or sports hero. A public figure cannot sue for defamation unless there is proof that the writer or publisher purposefully defamed the person with malice. For example, I am not a public figure because though I may know people and they know me, I do not fall under any of the categories that I stated before. Now transitioning into the best practices for news gathering. So, news gatherers should practice media ethics. Media ethics is an idea dealing with the specific ethical principles and standards of media. So some issues that reporters may face are truthfulness, 2, conflicts of interest, 3, sensationalism, and authenticity and appropriateness of photographs. When thinking about media ethics, it kind of goes back to the test bank question that we had for our last exam, which was regarding protecting the identity of sexual assault victims. Last but not least, we have parameters of privacy in social media. Privacy by legal definition is the right of a person to be free from intrusion into or publicity concerning matters of a personal nature. Also, you can think about the 4th Amendment, unlawful search and seizure. But when dealing with social media, you basically have little privacy as is. On most social media sites, the user can control how much personal information they put out. They do have privacy settings, but if someone follows you, they can see everything that you post. So it's not really private unless that you wanted to have it put out there. In conclusion, in this video, we learned that libel is a written form of defamation. Libel can be either indirect or direct. We explored the case of Sullivan versus the New York Times. A public figure is someone who sparks public interest, and public figures must prove actual malice to sue for defamation. News gatherers must be ethical when gathering information for stories, and we also looked into the definition of privacy and how it coincides with social media.